Hey Stampin' friends, welcome to the Joy of Stamping with Rachel. I'm Rachel Coon and it's our Wednesday's kit class. Go ahead and hold while I flip and we'll get started. All right, so today we are making cards using the Hats Off new stamp set from Stampin' Up, and we'll be using this giant hat image there, this fun little mountain one, and these three sayings. This is such a fun new set and it has matching dies. But before I get ahead of myself, I do want to tell you about our Wednesday's kit class. When you order between Wednesday and Friday each week, you get the kit that I prepared for you guys, and that is today's class. So be sure to order $35 worth from my online store and use that hostess code so I know that's what you're ordering towards for this week. And I will send you all the paper products from our kit today. I'm showing you 3 different ways to use these hats. We have a linen hat right here, using the new linen specialty paper. And then I have a two-tone hat right here. And then we've used a DSP hat right there. These are super fun ideas for Father's Day, for your favorite guy's birthday, and even for more of our girly cards as well. I did use and make this one also for our Manly Monday card, and I had some fun things to share with that one. So be sure to see my blog post about that card as well. All right, you guys ready? Let's go ahead and get started. Let's do this linen hat first. So this hat was inspired by my father-in-law, who is retired, and he always wears these really fun hats that have like little sayings or little mountain images on here. And so I thought it would be a really fun idea to make a hat using this linen specialty paper that just came out. Let me go and show you. And also today's cards, I don't know if you noticed, but all of them I've used different embossing folders. So I'm doing very similar layouts. We have a matting, embossed, a word box, and a hat for all 3 of our cards today. All right, be sure to check out my blog afterwards. That way you'll get the measurements on there and more details about all the colors and supplies. This video also was pre-recorded. I have a very busy Wednesday this week. It's May, and it's always busy in May for me. December and May, I tell you, are my busiest months. So I have this pre-recorded so that way you wouldn't miss out and still could learn how to use this awesome stamp set and dies. Oh, before I forget, I also made this really fun one. I was just playing around with the dies, and I made kind of like a tag. I haven't finished it yet, but just to give you an idea that I've made it so we can open it up like that. I think I'm going to attach it to a gift bag and make it a really cute, like to and from maybe. Super fun little tag. Okay, I think that's it. Let me go ahead and show you what we have. So I have that die cut, and I'm using the new evergreen color of cardstock for this one. And I'm using the, what is this color? I never use it. Oh, the Sahara Sand. It's a very nice neutral color, but I don't use it nearly as often. And I thought it matched pretty well with that linen hat that we're using today. I did go ahead and die cut them out. So this is what the hat looks like so far, and you can feel it, and if you could, you would know that it is actual material and not just paper. Then if I flip it over on this side, you'll see there's an adhesive backing sheet. So right now this is smooth, but once I peel this off, there'll be adhesive already on this linen part, which is pretty awesome. And look at the detail from this die. I love the stitching that has from the center to here, and it has a little space right there that it will hold, or is a great placement to put your center parts of your hats. Super fun. I did go ahead and I inked this up already, and I stamped directly onto that linen paper, and then I die cut it out. when you use the dies, let me show you, there's 2 per center spots. So if you look right here, there's a cutting out part and a stitch part. And so you can run them together at the same time and get those stitch centers along with cutting it out. It's pretty awesome. All right, so what we need to do is stamp and prepare this hat and mount it to our mat as well. Let's go ahead and do our matting first, because since it's on this emboss, I think this is called the evergreen emboss, in fact, if I remember right. This one was a carryover from a holiday catalog, and it is one of my favorites. I really do like this one. So I just put a little bit of liquid glue on there. I'm going to smooth it out, and then I'm going to grab my large block, because this one, you see how it doesn't lay flat because it's gone through and been embossed. So we're just going to try to hold it with a paperweight or a block. All right, this one can go straight in the inside. This is what we're going to use instead of basic white as our inside of our card today. I'm using that Sahara sand. It's just another neutral, and it looks actually pretty good. All right, let's go ahead and stamp this saying here. And I'm doing the here's to the next adventure. Oh, and I do need to show you something before I go any further. So I use the Stitch Rectangle dies, which are one of my favorite dies. Here's this one, and it's a double-sided stitch. So when I cut it out, it cuts the stitch on the inside and on the outside. However, I didn't have the size I wanted. If I were to use this size, it would have too much space left over. And I just couldn't cut it, because if I did, it would leave this as a straight edge and not a stitched edge. So what you do in your die cutting machine, you cut it once, the regular size, just like that, and then you cut it again, but you turn it. So this is what it looked like before, like that. So I turned from here to here, and I put it so that way this lined up to the edge on this side, just like that. And that just happened to be the perfect amount that I needed for my stamping image today. Pretty awesome, right? Then you have a cute little square if you want to use that for something else. Totally up to you. I'll probably just end up throwing it away. I mostly saved it just so you can see. All right, so we'll ink up the here's to the next adventure. Perfect. We'll set that aside. And then let's go ahead and grab our sponge. So to help our hat look a little bit more colorful and rough, you could either use a sponge, the blending brushes, whatever you have. Even a dauber would work well to transfer ink to this piece of linen. We just need to get the color that we want. I'm using that same evergreen, and I'm going to go around the edges. If I use my blending brush, I could go ahead and color the whole thing pretty evenly. But I just want the edge for this one. Have you ever seen hats kind of have that trim or border? That's what I'm trying to create. Okay. Put our ink away. And let's go ahead and remove this. This is the cutest little patch here. You see that? I love this. And there's different choices. So if you didn't want the mountain ones, you could have done Life is Great, the Cool Sun, the Dad even. Lots of great ones. And there are 2 for each size for most of them. For all of them, actually. Okay. So I'm going to remove the backing and have this awesome sticker and place it right on our hat. Just like that. Okay. This should be ready. Let's go ahead and attach this now to our card base. Grab some liquid glue. If you haven't tried this linen specialty paper yet, I highly recommend it. It comes in a 12 by 12, 2 sheets of it, and you just cut what you need at the time. So I just used a 6 by 6 square to cut these ones out. Okay, I'm going to paint dimensionals on the back of our label right here. And let's go ahead Put this down in the bottom. Right about there. And then we will take off the backing of our hat. There we go, peeled off. And then we'll place our hat just kind of at an angle and above and then smooth it out. Look how awesome that is. I love that. Super cool. All right, grab your bone folder and let's get that crease nice. And there we go. A really fun Here's the Next Adventure card using that linen specialty paper. And our hat's off and hat dies. All right, ready for their next one? Let's go more girly this time. And let's do this card here. You could totally switch it up. And what I've done is I've used a floral embossing folder. It's called the Ornate Floral, I believe. And then I've had that stitch looking rectangle here. And I have die cut it out from DSP. And that makes it a fun pattern on the hat. If I don't have it yet, but there's an embossing folder that matches, like it's a leopard print one. And that would look really cool with this one as well. And then you have a choice of either to stamp and ink up the outline of the hat or leave it plain. Because I can't stamp images, yours will come looking just like that. So I'm going to show you how to make it with this style. Let's go ahead and grab all of our items. I love that there's bling on this hat. Makes it a total girl hat. Let's do the same thing and get our embossed image onto our mat. I'm using Blushing Bride and Misty Moonlight, and that's the color I inked around that hat. I do suggest stamping the hat first and then die cutting it out, and then just make sure you are careful not to cut out any of the lines. It matches up pretty well. All right, we'll get this one on the front as well. And there's lots of different mat sizes. For all three of these, I've used different ones today just to show you how the different outlines look and how they pair well together. All right, let's go ahead and stamp our saying and then make our hat. We'll get our foam mat in there. I had a customer and friend just ask me why I have a foam mat in here on one of my YouTube videos, and that's because photopolymer doesn't have that extra cushion like our rubber stamps do, and so you want to provide that for it by just having that mat underneath. These small images we probably could get away with, but just to be on the safe side, I like to have a thin foam mat underneath when I'm using my photopolymer. Awesome, you're the best. I'll put dimensionals on the back of this one. And I'm almost out of these white ones. I'll have to use or grab another set here in just a little bit. Okay. Put that in the bottom left corner. Try to keep it as straight as you can. There we go. And let's make our hat. All right, so this one I just glued on this little kind of like a pocket looking shape, and I have that stitched image on it again, or stitch around part of it. And I didn't do any stamping on this one. We can attach our little star, which is part of the dies as well, with a dimensional. Let me just cut one in half. So I'm just going to take my paper snips and cut it through. Because our star is a little bit smaller and I don't have my mini dimensionals handy, that's a good way to do it. Ooh, and if you want to, you could always add and color that star with some Wink of Stella to give it a little bit more bling. So I'm using just the champagne rhinestones, but you could use regular rhinestones as well. Totally up to you. And about 16. So it takes just a good amount. You don't have to have them just right by each other, but just use that little stitch edge to kind of give you a guide of how you want it to be. Either go below the stitch or below or above it. This time I'm going a little bit below it. And I just use my nails to pick it up and place it. You can use tweezers though if you have those handy, or your paper snips to grab them. Oops, slide that back. And then we're going to put dimensionals on the back of this to help pop it off of the card front as well. Look how awesome that looks. Oh my goodness. You see all that bling? Such a fun hat. We've been watching the Selena movie on, I think it's Netflix, recently, my husband and I, and we just love it. And Selena, if those who are old enough to remember her, was like a fashion guru and designed a lot of her own clothes and hats for that she performed in. And she used to put or bedazzle almost all of her hats that she made. So this totally reminds me of a Selena hat. And we'll add it to our card front. You're the best. Oh, that's looking so cool. All right. For this one, I did go ahead and put a basic white insert in there as well. And so you could always add that if you wanted to. There it is. So you can kind of see the difference from the outline to the non-outline. And you can see which one you prefer and make that style. Okay. Last one for today is a really fun one. I love this hat. This almost looks like a kid hat even. So I could have changed the saying to this one and made it just like a happy birthday for a little boy, and it would be perfect. Let's grab all of our supplies. I'm using the Misty Moonlight, the Old Olive and Crumb Cake, and Soft Suede, and Mango Melody. I do want to show you a couple cool things for this one. There's so many great dyes. See if I can get them all up for you. So you have choices of what you put in the center of your hat. So I use the lightning bolt in our demo card, but there's a cute little buffalo, a fish, and even a tree. There are just die cut out. There's no stamp images to match these ones. So you just would have to use paper for those. Super cute. And then there's also cute little dies to cut out little hats. These are the cutest little ones. So I did a matching one. So this one was for this card if I wanted to put that on the inside or use it as confetti. And that one was for the girl one that I just did using that same DSP. So fun, right? Cute little hats. Then we have our centers one in the Old Olive. And we'll pick one of those centers in just a second. Okay. Let's go ahead and glue on our brick embossed paper to our Old Olive. Same idea as the last two cards. We're going to have an embossed image, and then we're going to mat it to a piece of cardstock that's a little different, a little bigger in size. And I feel like this just makes the card look more complete. It gives it more of a solid weight to it and is just more eye-catching when you use a mat. You could use tone on tone. So I could have used a crumb cake or the Misty Moonlight, but that green just really pops it out. All right. So for the hat, you would need two hats, one in the soft suede and one in the Misty Moonlight, and we're just going to cut off this part right above the stitch. So grab your paper snips and follow it along. You could save the top of this hat and use it for something else. Kind of add it to this crazy looking orange one. And that gives you an idea if you wanted to have a different top to a bottom as well. And we'll use liquid glue and attach that to our Misty Moonlight. There we go. There's that. And now let's go ahead and add our little circle with a stitch center. A little bit of glue. Put that right about there. And what do you think? Should we do the buffalo? I think the buffalo looks better on, I think it was this size, right? So we'll save him for another one. The tree would have worked same tone on tone, so it's okay. The fish isn't too bad. That's what the fish would look like. That one's kind of fun. Like a fisherman's hat. But I think I really do like that lightning bolt. So we're just going to keep the lightning bolt. I know. Usually I like to switch it up, but sometimes you just have a favorite and you just got to stick with it. I can see some really cute like flashcards made with this one. Dimensionals on the back. And we still need to stamp our saying. So give me just a minute and we'll get that ready too. And then this card will be just about done. Put that right there. Again, I kind of like to have it tilted just a little bit and not completely straight on. And let's grab our centerpiece. I put crumb cake inside. Oh, actually I did whisper white for this one. Sorry, basic white for the side of that one. But you can always change it up and use a crumb cake as well. That's what we'll do for this one. Here's my little stitch rectangle. And our saying. I'm just doing same tone, so old olive on old olive. And we're going to ink it up with that saying to the guy that wears many hats. There we go. I had to be very careful. That's such a tiny little stitch rectangle, but it actually fits really well in there. You just have to make sure you're going right in between. And that's what I love about these clear stamps is that I could see exactly where I was placing that. I did hold my breath just briefly just to make sure that I didn't go outside of the stitch line. All right, grab just a couple dimensionals and we'll add this and we'll be just about done. I hope these cards have inspired you to get this set. You can find it on my online store, and the links are in my YouTube below. Be sure to subscribe so you see each of my weekly videos. Next week is the last Wednesday of the month, and so I'll be doing the alternatives for Paper Pumpkin, which are really fun. Just show you some extra ideas with that kit. All right, let's flip it and get our bone folder. Perfect. And there's that card. The two-tone cardstock hat. Love it. And isn't that embossing folder just amazing? It really does look like it's popping out at you. Okay, so we have our two-tone hat. We have our DSP girly hat with that one. Sorry, alarm. 2 o'clock here means it's time to go pick up kids. So I'm almost done. And we have this really fun linen hat one. And this one has to be touched. I'm so excited to send this one to one of my father-in-laws and see what they think of it because they have hats that match. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Be sure to order from me this week if you want to get this hats off kit. Happy stamping, everyone. Goodbye.